Just imagine someone walks up to you today and asks you one very simple question. Think about your own brain for a sec. Try to pinpoint the absolute earliest thing you can remember. Really scan through those mental archives of yours. What image pops up first? You might recall some common milestones like your first day of school, a birthday party, maybe a family vacation, or, ouch, the sudden shock of falling off your bike. But honestly, no matter how hard you try, you almost certainly cannot remember being 1 year old, or even 2. In fact, we don't remember the first few years of our own lives at all, which is kind of wild, right? Because those years were literally some of the most important you'll ever experience. You learned to walk, you learned your first words, you were experiencing the entire world for the very first time. So, the real kicker here is that for every person you've ever met, it's exactly as if we all just began reading our life's book from chapter 4. We are completely unable to open the beginning. Those first chapters definitely exist, but somehow no one can open them anymore. Scientists actually have an official name for this incredible disappearing act: childhood amnesia. Almost every human on Earth experiences it. Now, for a long time, scientists looked at this phenomenon and just assumed, well, babies simply don't have developed enough brains to make memories. It seemed like a no-brainer, right? Babies don't know language, they don't get the concept of time, so maybe they just couldn't press the save button. But here is a massive plot twist. Researchers proved this early assumption was entirely wrong. They did this fascinating study where babies watched adults perform simple actions with toys. And get this, weeks and even months later, many of those babies remembered exactly what to do with those toys. So this proved absolutely that babies do form memories and they're learning all the time. But if those memories were successfully created, it only deepens the mystery. Where exactly did those memories go? Let's look at the suspects inside the baby brain. We're going to dive into the neuroscience and investigate the 3 main suspects responsible for this missing data. First up, meet your hippocampus. Think of it as your brain's internal librarian. Every single experience you have passes through this librarian. Your birthday, your first kiss, that really embarrassing thing you said 5 years ago, the librarian carefully files all those memories onto your mental shelves. But this poor baby librarian faces 3 major problems when trying to press save on your early experiences. We've got a librarian under construction, rapid neural rewiring, and no language labels. Let's break these suspects down one by one. Because the hippocampus isn't fully developed in your first few years, it's quite literally like hiring a librarian before the building is actually finished. Imagine trying to organize a library that doesn't have any shelves yet. The memory books just pile up everywhere, they get misplaced, and some never get organized properly. That is essentially what's happening inside a baby's developing brain. To make matters worse, millions. During your first few years, your baby brain is creating millions of new neural connections every single second. Think about that scale. It is one of the fastest periods of growth you will ever go through. It's like trying to build a sprawling city while people are actively moving every single road and building. Now, this non-stop neural rewiring is absolutely incredible for learning things fast, but it is terrible for memory storage. Some scientists believe these new brain cells actually interfere with older memories. It's kind of like constantly erasing a whiteboard to write new notes. Your brain isn't deleting things on purpose, it's just making room to become more powerful. But naturally, that causes the original memories to become impossible to read. Then we hit our third suspect, the language problem. Think about your memories today. Most of them have words attached, right? Language acts like labels on storage boxes, making things super easy to find. But without words to label your experiences, your early memories are like thousands of computer files saved without names. Babies experience these rich emotions, images, and sounds, but they can't organize them into a cohesive story. The info's in there somewhere. You just have no idea where to look. Moving on to the hidden clues of senses and reconstruction. The investigation definitely isn't over yet, because scientists believe those unlabeled files might actually still exist in hidden sensory forms. Have you ever caught a scent that instantly transported you back in time? Maybe it's your grandmother's cooking, a specific shampoo, or just the smell of fresh rain. Smells like these bypass words entirely and connect straight to the memory and emotion centers of the brain. So you might not recall a specific conscious story of being held as a baby, but your brain absolutely remembers the profound feeling of comfort and safety. The earliest memories aren't necessarily gone, they just can't be translated into conscious thought. Plus, we have to keep a fundamental truth about the mind in check here. Memory isn't a recording, it's a reconstruction. Even the older memories that do manage to survive aren't fixed forever. Every single time you remember something, your brain slightly edits and rewrites the story. It's like opening and saving a document on your computer. Over the years, the memory slowly shifts. That's exactly why you and a sibling might remember the exact same childhood event completely differently. Your brain builds it from scratch every single time. So, when does the internal librarian finally get proper shelves? Well, for most of us, your very first conscious memory usually kicks in around age 3 to 4. This is when the brain's rapid construction phase begins to slow down, and language gets strong enough to actually store experiences for decades. Suddenly, experiences are much easier to organize and retrieve. Though even then, your brain is constantly deciding what gets to take up space, letting the ordinary moments just fade away. And that leads us to your unremembered foundation, which brings us to the ultimate resolution of our mystery. And honestly, it's the beautiful truth about why you can't remember being a baby. Your missing years were not empty. Your brain wasn't failing. It was simply way too busy building itself to preserve every single scene. It used every smile, every unsteady step, every sound, every hug, and every early lesson to shape the foundation of the person you are today. They shaped you, even if you can never explicitly remember them. So the big takeaway from this explainer is simply this. Your story didn't begin with your first memory. It began long, long before that. The brain just gracefully closed the curtain on those opening scenes, preserving them not as clear pictures you can recount at a dinner party, but as the invisible architecture of your mind. I'm going to leave you with this final, fascinating thought. If your most important years are the ones you can never consciously revisit, what other incredible mysteries are hidden in your unremembered foundation? Thanks for joining this explainer, and definitely keep exploring the incredible mysteries inside your own mind.